just wanted to say before we start this, you've got this school is amazing, man. The amount of value in this is just like the courses, the community is so respectful. It's like I haven't seen a single negative comment. Everyone's just super positive, and you got hats off to you, man. You're doing amazing.
Thank you for saying that, man. What did you want to speak about today?
Um, so I'll just do a little recap. So last year, May, that's when I decided that I wanted to create a YouTube channel and build an audience and sell to that audience. I think I was watching one of your videos, your unfiltered videos, like how to make money off social media. And I watched that video like 10 times and I was like, hooked. Yeah, this is what I want to do. And I watched another one of yours, like how important a routine was and how important it is to do the same things at the same time every single day, wake up at the same time, go to sleep at the same time. And that's when I spent like an hour creating my routine. And I created that routine and I would stick to it for maybe a week, a few days, sometimes a couple weeks. And then something would happen. Maybe it would be like a minor relapse. And then I would just go back into my old lifestyle. And then, like, give or take, that's kind of pretty much what's been going on for the past year or so. I've been making like some like little increments of progress, but nowhere near as much as I could have been making.
Okay. So you said you've made the routine, you follow it quite well for some time, but then you kind of mess up one day, and then you end up just going full. Like, it's an interesting analogy you just said. The door just slightly cracks open. You mess up a little bit. After you mess up a little bit, once you've been doing a good, you've got the nofap streak right now. You got to 1 week, 2 weeks, and then you relapse. The door's cracked open. Is it impossible to have this door cracked open and then maybe just try and shut it again a little bit more and more and more? Or maybe, Imran, is it that you're stood next to the door and when it does crack open, you're like, oh, well, may as well then. Like, which one is it?
Well, I'm right.
So why do you do that? Because it doesn't seem so smart, does it?
Not at all, right? Not at all.
You know, I'm glad you're asking this question because this is actually one of the most common questions that I helped people with when I used to do like one-to-one coaching like 2 years ago. One of the most common, even though it seems very specific, but this is just the nature of self-improvement. You can keep doing the good things, but inevitably you've got to do the bad thing eventually, right? There's no one who doesn't do like something bad or something wrong ever again. It's not like you just discover nofap and then it's called nofap, not never fap. It's like, there's a point, right? If you can visualize like a graph of success, it's some graph that some like businessmen are showing and it, shows progress. But when you zoom in, it's always like this, isn't it? It's always like that. It's, the general trend is what matters. Imagine if these business guys, they saw like this one here and they were like, oh, well, we've lost 5% of the business. So we may as well destroy the entire business, guys. Imran said to open the door fully, guys.
Yeah, but the overall trend is upwards. Even if it's up, it's creating like a higher low. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I guess I have made progress over the year, but I just beat myself up because I could have done so much more, man. Like,
yeah, of course it is. Just not living up to your potentials are always gonna suck. It's just how it's how you should feel. The fact that you do feel this is actually a good thing. I'm glad that you feel bad about this, because if you didn't, then you'd waste away.
Yeah.
The fact that you have this feeling is a really good thing.
What do you said that you've had previous clients with similar issues. What advice worked for them?
It was to realize that crack in the door isn't a problem. If you think it's a problem, that's when it turns into fully opening the door. Because psychologically it messes you up when you can't stand the door being this open. It makes you fully relapse, resets all the progress. It was weird, this weird process to walk these guys in, but to try and coach them and teach them that we always expect the door to be open this much. Always. And when you're not okay with that, when you're not okay with taking a couple of rest days every now and then, when you're not okay with relapsing every now and then, that's when you actually do it worse. So this isn't to say to, be a Jeffrey and start coping in 1 hour of video games a day or, anything like that. But it's to say, okay, your focus should be on to be 100% productive and to, make no mistakes, no failures. You shouldn't plan to fail, right? So, okay, this is the goal. But as soon as naturally the urge and the pull to do something bad becomes too much and you do it, you eat the junk food, you fap, you play the video games, whatever it is, to then see that as like, as you're about to do these things, as like, yep, but whatever, this is that small percentage which I'm just going to be really mindful of. And you do it, you enjoy it, and then you go straight back to the hard work after that. The issue is that when you do these things but with guilt, and worst of all, like, you don't even get to enjoy them. Yeah, like Noah said, first of all, thank you for opening up with that.
Yeah.
Is your life on an upward trend right now? So it's a new mindset that you can start to use. It's called measure the gain, not the gap. Naturally, we see the gap between where we are and where we want to be, or maybe where we are and where we see other people are. We see that gap. And when you focus on this, it drives you insane, makes you feel worse, and sometimes negative emotions can be valuable and you can use them well. But in general, positive emotion is going to help you become more productive. In general, happy people are way more productive. So it's just, like, there's always the exception. I don't know if it enters your mind of like, wait, what if this is like that? The depressed millionaire type of thing, the guy who's been through so much trauma. What if like this is that thing? You can reform, like reword things in your life to make good of the bad, but you shouldn't try to purposely stay in the bad because of that. So what I mean by this is, right now it seems like you're measuring the gap between where you are and where you want to be, your potential, your where you could be right now. Maybe some of it's involved with other people, maybe it's about social media, maybe it's about the gap between where you think your family think you should be. And this will drive you insane, and this will make you act in ways that are quite chaotic and not even good for you. But instead, when we measure then the gain, we think about how far we've come, and we use that as like the guiding point for our assessment, our interpretation of the world. So we don't think about how small we are, in the gym, and oh man, like I only bench 60 kg, I need to bench 100 kg, otherwise I'm not worthy of love. We don't think about that. Instead we think, oh yeah, when I started I could barely even bench the bar. I started from 20, now I'm on 60. I'm strong. Look at how strong I just got so quickly. That's 40 kg in less than a year.
Yeah.
It's like compare yourself to who you were yesterday, that type of thing. Yeah. That's a good point. That's a great one. What's an actionable step that I could take, like an exercise that I could do to strengthen that mindset?
So this is a very like mental, psychological thing. So every practical action we can take right now is going to be based on that, but in general it's just about like thinking the right things. What I'll tell you from my experience is that you'll go through a bunch of moments where you'll automatically measure the gap, and it'll take you hours to suddenly rechange your mind to measure the gain. When that happens, don't be upset. If you ever measure the gain, it's positive. Even if you've just been coping for like 2 hours afterwards, I found that like the more you keep this in your mind and the more you live like this, like the less time it takes to reform your thoughts. But naturally you are still going to be measuring the gain for the gap for a little while. You're still going to be looking at how you're inadequate instead of how the progress you've made for a little while. And maybe you'll cope for like 2-3 hours, and then you'll get the thought, oh yeah, the gain, not the gap, so I made progress. So that's just one mindset to keep in mind. And I like to personally use my environment for this. I like to surround myself like just control my environment to kind of remind me of things that I think is important. Like you can't see. Oh, actually, I can show you now. Like all these pages and everything. I like to do that personally. That works well for me. So what I would say to you, what I said to some people who were asking the same question. Let's say with your physique, you've been going to the gym, you made some progress. Set a picture of you when you first went to the gym or before you went to the gym as your phone lock screen. Print that picture out and stick it up on your mirror. See it every single day. Instead of seeing like how small you are right now because you're not at the 100 kg bench or you're not as big as that bodybuilder that you want to be, see where you started from. And now you're just seeing like the positive self-image. I've become so much bigger. I used to be small, but I'm not small anymore. Look at me. I'm thick now. It's so much healthier. I'd take pictures if you want to go like full like psychopathic mode. I'd print off like 10 shirtless pictures if you can find any from like before you went to the gym and stick them around. Maybe your bank balance. Maybe like just a photo of you will be good enough. Like even a selfie of you from like 2 years ago. Especially if you can think about it like at a time when you weren't doing so well in life, at a time when the door was just 24/7 open up that much, because it'll remind you. You'll see a picture of yourself from high school or something. It'll remind you of like, yeah, you literally used to fap every single day. You used to eat junk food. You used to do this and this and this. It makes you okay with realizing if the door was open this much 24/7, maybe we should be okay with the door being open this much 24/7, because that's an amazing improvement. Not being okay with this little gap is what makes it open like this chaotically. But if you can just be okay with this and realize that this is how much the door deserves to be open right now, this is what you deserve, because you're still relatively new onto self-improvement. 1 year is like not that much. It's still barely like 6-7% of your life. So if you're okay with this, that's when you'll keep making that upward progress and it'll close more and more and more. And when it gets to about here, that's when you're living the ideal life. That's when like pretty much you're not really fapping or anything, but you're eating the junk food because it's someone's birthday and they've made cake or something. It's like, that's totally healthy, no guilt at all for something like that. You have to be okay with some of the bad parts of life, because if you try and like protect yourself too much from that, from making mistakes, from failures, then and the bad habits, then you end up, it's very chaotic. You end up like revolting against your goals every now and then because you just can't handle it anymore. You've been pushing this door closed for so long, past the point that it's supposed to really be at this point. You're pushing. Eventually you get tired, and then now it's going to swing open this way. But you could literally keep it like, reasonably closed. You've got the strength for that, to understand that, some shit's going to come in right now, which is natural about life. As long as you're on that upward trajectory, like, let me think, okay? If you ate junk food once every 2 months, and you fat like once every 6 months or something, so insignificant, right? At that point, you're pretty much close to like the ideal life in terms of those areas, right? Obviously, like 0 times would be better, but like at that point, it's so like infrequent that it pretty much, okay, you're at 10 out of 10, amazing, fantastic, right? Well, if that's like the lifelong goal, why do you have to be there just right now?